came to Texas to see for myself where the Amber Alert got its beginnings.
Amber Hagerman. On January 13th, 1996, 9-year-old Amber and her 5-year-old brother Ricky were riding bikes in Arlington, Texas. Ricky decided to go home, which left Amber by herself. At approximately 3:20 in the afternoon, Jimmy Kevill was outside gardening. He suddenly heard a scream and saw a man grab Amber as she was kicking. The man threw Amber in his black truck and drove away.
I'm at the actual spot on East Abrams Street in Arlington, Texas, where Amber Hagerman was actually abducted.
Jimmy called the police, but it was too late. Her lifeless body was found 4 days later in a creek. The killer has never been found.
I'm at a creek where Amber's body was found about 5 miles away from the abduction.
My name's Patch, and a friend of mine, Michelle. We came out here and did this wall mural for Amber here, and I first did it in 2013, and I came back last year in 2019 to redo it so we can refresh the case. Hopefully it'll trigger something in somebody's memory. People passing by here seeing it and seeing her face this time around might trigger somebody to say something. And I'll be back to be refreshing it as often as I have to until we can get this thing solved.
In 1986, a woman named Deanna Simone was overseas in a large crowd. Suddenly, a woman started crying because her child went missing. The word spread like wildfire until the whole community was looking for the child. In a few minutes, the child was located. Deanna never forgot this incident. Fast forward 10 years to 1996. Deanna got home to see a girl opening presents on TV. Deanna watched to find out why this girl was on the news, not expecting what was to come. A reporter came on to say that girl, Amber Hagerman, had been abducted a few hours before in a local community. Deanna watched in horror as she realized this poor little girl had been snatched away from her family. She began to think about how that child 10 years ago had been rescued so quickly because of the community involvement. She started talking to her friends, saying, "Why can't we get the word out when this happens? We can use a cell phone system in which volunteers could get messages about abductions and be on the lookout." No one thought that her idea would work, and she was discouraged. But when talking to her friend, Reverend Tom Stoker, he said, "Why don't you just call the local radio station and see if they can get the word out?" So she called them and wrote them a letter with only one request. It be named the Amber Plan after Amber Hagerman.
The Amber Alert was born out of a combination of outrage, compassion, and inspiration, and a steadfast belief in the golden rule that we should do unto others as we would have them do unto us. When I first heard the news about Amber's abduction, I knew that if that had been my child, I would want everybody looking. I would want everybody participating in any attempt to bring her home safely. Sadly, that did not happen for Amber. However, I went about trying to find a way that it could happen in future occurrences. The first and biggest barrier that I ran into was the assumption of powerlessness. Most people do not believe that one person can make a difference, or that the average citizen can have any influence on the world around them. That view was so pervasive that it almost dissuaded me from my goal. Fortunately, it did not. My hope is that the Amber Alert, its humble origin and its phenomenal success, has broken down that barrier once and for all. One person can make a difference.
The Amber Alert is a nationwide system to alert the public that a child has been abducted. It is sent out to phones and gives a description of the kidnapper and the missing child or children. Once law enforcement gets involved in the case, there are certain criteria that needs to be met. There is evidence an abduction took place. Law enforcement believes a child is in danger. There is a good description of the kidnapper or the vehicle. The child is 17 years old or younger. They must be listed in the National Crime Information Center. But did the Amber Alert work right from the beginning? On July 5th, 1997, the first ever Amber Alert was activated. However, the child was located in a creek and had passed away. This and the next Amber Alert were unsuccessful. These were both in Dallas-Fort Worth, and people started to think the plan wasn't going to work. However, the third Amber Alert was the first success. The abduction happened in 1998. Rayleigh Bradbury was just 8 weeks old when she was abducted by her babysitter. The Amber Alert was issued and the baby was found 45 minutes after the abduction in a truck. This case made national news immediately. Law enforcement agencies began calling the Arlington, Texas Police Department to get instructions on how to do their own Amber Plan. In the year 2000, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC, began to push for the Amber Plan to be implemented across the nation. The barriers that they faced dealt with difficulty in communication between agencies, lack of funding, and being able to provide the appropriate information to the public. On August 3, 2000, the NCMEC had a conference in Alexandria, Virginia, where their main headquarters were located. They wanted to brainstorm ideas and come up with a plan to get the Amber Plan in every state. Communities that already implemented the plan had representatives in attendance to give their input. They came up with a name for Amber to stand for by taking each letter in Amber's name. Amber's name became America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response. At this time, there are only 4 states completely participating in the Amber Plan. They were Oklahoma, Florida, Arkansas, and Michigan. There were 27 programs across the U.S., and several children have been saved up to this point. 9 from Dallas, Texas, 3 from Houston, Texas, and 2 from Florida. By 2002, 9 states had completely implemented the Amber Plan. On August 1st of that year, there was an abduction in Lancaster, California. Tamara Brooks and Jacqueline Maurice were abducted at gunpoint. An animal control officer saw the Amber Alert and reported seeing the vehicle to law enforcement. The perpetrator was captured and the girls were rescued. This got the attention of not only the police, government, and broadcasters, but also the attention of the American people. The Amber Plan was working.
Amber Alerts have become an increasingly important tool in rescuing kidnapped children. By quickly getting key information about the missing child and information about the suspect out into the public through radio broadcasts or highway signs or other means, an Amber Alert adds thousands of citizens to the search in the crucial early hours.
On April 30th, 2003, President Bush signed the PROTECT Act, making the Amber Alert a law in all 50 states. Deanna Simone was invited to the White House for the signing. The Amber Alert is now in the 50 states, the District of Columbia, Indian Country, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and 27 other countries.
There have been over 900 successful stories with the Amber Alert, so it's clearly broken many barriers. So the next time you hear an Amber Alert, keep your eyes peeled, because you might be part of saving a child's life.